Hello, I'm George. I'm the founder and creator of Dogma Games, and I'm currently working on my first commercial game called Wake Out of Twilight. You could really help me out just by going to my Steam page and wishlisting my game. It would mean so much to me. Today, I decided to show what goes into creating a typical level for my upcoming game, and I hope it can help some people out or just be something fun to watch. Um, so, I've started out by this is going to be one of my final levels of the game, or in the final stretches of levels of my game. I've started out with a set of essential components that I put into all of my levels. So things like environment, player, the UI, spawn point, my game manager, my camera rig, and my audio. I'm not going to go into how I made those in this video, but go ahead and leave some feedback if you want me to further explain any of these things. But just so you know, these are pretty much in all my levels, so I've copy and pasted all of these from my other levels, and I've basically put them in here. And so when I start off a level, I kind of just start with almost like a template, and then what I'm going to do now is just so kind of I'm not bothered by like any of these things that I'm seeing from previous levels. I'm going to delete some of the assets. Um, it always takes some time going into my tile palette so I can like edit my tile maps. So I have different layers. The ground one and basically my background one are the ones that I'm going to be mainly focusing on for this um, uh, demo here. I mainly want to get rid of like these decorative ones, and I believe these ones are in what I call pass-through decoration. Pass-through, I say, is like the background, because the player doesn't interact with this. It's just supposed to be there and static. Because if you think about it, like a character would just like walk over that kind of thing. And so I've created like a big eraser. I'm just gonna erase all these things like this. I consider that decoration. So I'm getting rid of all of that. Is there anything else I need to do? Maybe decoration, just so. And I think these are about it. I'm going to start editing ground too, but then I also noticed that I have like these blocks right here that I don't need for this level. And these are collapsing platforms. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, and let's get started. And just to give you an idea of what I'm going to be doing today, I don't normally do things on paper like this, but I decided to do it for the purpose of this video. And so I've drawn out like what I'm planning for this level. You can see the character starts off in the bottom right here. And what I plan on doing is when you start, the player spawns, and this is my representation for a springboard. So I have springs here, and I have a spring there and a spring there. So it's going to be a couple of those in this level. These are platforms that go back and forth. And what I want these to do is be just an obstacle for the player. If the player jumps at the wrong time, these are going to squash the player into the wall and the player dies and has to restart. And today, for this level, I want to introduce a new mechanic for the player. I'll make a tooltip for it, but I made it a feature so that when a player hops on the platform and presses the jump button at the exact right time, it can jump them further up. And so I want them to learn how to do that in this level. And so if you just normally bounce on it, you'll get squashed by this platforms that are rotating, like coming back and forth. And so only by timing your jump right and then making it all the way up, you're going to make it on top. I want the player to land on these platforms and then use the momentum to jump over this gap right here. And this long oval shaped with the X's in it is like how I'm representing basically security lasers. If you touch those, the player will die and have to start over. So I have these all over the map too. Then the player has to drop onto these types of platforms, and these ones with the circles in it I use to represent collapsing platforms. If the player lands on these, then the platform will drop, and then you can see it'll drop into these hazard zones. And this is I made it so that this is also a security laser, but this one's going to move up and down. You can barely see it, but I put like little arrows to represent it. So hop onto this crumbly platform, hop over to this crumbly platform, and then onto this platform where if you land on it, it's going to start going down. And I want the user to have to time jumps to be able to avoid these rotating energy things to go back and forth. until they get to this area where if they do nothing, they'll go right through this energy thing and then they will also die. But I've created a switch activated energy thing. So this is similar to this right here. This little single security laser is equal to this, except this one can be disabled by this switch right here. So when the user gets over here, he can shoot this switch, it goes away, and then the user can safely drop down to the save area, and that's going to be the checkpoint of this level. Then I want the user to, or the player, to get over to this area, and KC is a key card. And I wrote a note right here, like create a resetting type key card, because I normally have it so that key cards could be collected, and then that like pretty much moves like a save point over to them. But I don't want that on this level. I want the user to have to be able to get in and then also get out safely before that they basically they have to survive that whole trick or stunt to be able to finish this level instead of saving right here. Because if you saved right here, you'll understand why. This platform is a diagonally moving platform, and it's activated by the player jumping on it, and then it'll shoot up. But in this case, I wanted to shoot up and make a path for the player to get this key card right here. This energy beam is going to be moving up and down, so the player has to time it right when to get in and get out. Because if they go in when the energy is coming down, then they'll just die immediately. I want there to be a solid platform here too, so that the user can safely jump on it as long as this energy field is going down. So my plan for the user is to jump on here, come up here, jump onto this platform, and then quickly jump over to this platform before this security beam comes back up. And then once over here, I want them to jump onto this spring up here, and then jump onto this spring up over here. This is going to be the finish area. There'll be a security door that requires a key card to get to. That's why I need the user to do this all in one life. And then these security fields are going to be up and down, so the user has to also like time it to jump up to these platforms. So that's the gist of this level, and I'm going to be referencing this as I go through this. So let's put this away right now, and then the first thing we want to do is create, I guess, this area in this stunt right here first. So I'm using the tile map that I use for my office environment so far. It doesn't look like it right now, but I have several decorations that I put into it to make it look more office-y like or server room like. You'll see that in my game in the finished product, but I probably won't put it into this tutorial. But I will just start constructing my first stunt. Okay, so now you can see that we've created a separate tile map. I made this tile map called side moving blocks, and that's what these two things are going to do. Because remember, in our design, we wanted these things to be moving sideways, and so these are going to be, moving sideways and potentially splat the player against the wall right here. And right now, I made the tile maps, but I haven't made them moving yet. And the way I made those tile maps real quick is I basically added made a tile map, and then I added the tile map collider 2D. The only difference I use, the thing that's not the default option is used by composite. This basically makes it so that instead of being like separate blocks for the collider, it's using one collider that should be this composite collider that's basically meshed them all together or merged them all together. The rigid body 2D that comes with it, the only thing that I changed was I made it kitematic, so that it's not affected by gravity. It's only affected by a script that I'm about to add to it. And I set interpolate to interpolate because I don't want that to be glitchy when the player is playing it. Other than that, I want to add one more component, and that's a component that I made called, I made a bunch of these platform moving scripts. I have a coding background, so like I'm very comfortable with making a bunch of scripts all the time, and it's something I'm actually kind of proud of. So if there's any tutorial videos that anyone would like about how to make these type of scripting platforms, or basically platforms that are controlled by a script, let me know in the comments. I could definitely make videos about how I go about doing that. In this case, I want a platform that I made before called a ping pong platform. This ping pong platform basically requires the way that I made it, it requires me to have a rigid body 2D, and that's how I'm going to end up moving it. And so with the default settings, with its default settings, these are the things that I can adjust. Carrying distance check is I read it to see if a character is on top of it, and if it is, it moves the player. Destination vector is basically the vector that I wanted to go to do the movement, and so in this case I want it to hit all the way to the wall. So if you count that this vector is, or if you count that its original position is right here, I needed to move 1, 2, 3 to the right. So I put 3 for X. I don't want it to go up, so I set it as 0. Move speed I'm going to adjust, but just to show you how that works, I'm going to play it, and we should see that these blocks should be moving back and forth now. And that's how my script works. But I do want this to be, like a little bit more dangerous. So I did put a moving speed setting here too. Time offset is a setting that I put so that it can create some variation in blocks, so that they aren't all moving at the same, tempo. Most of the time I don't need that unless I have multiple blocks in the same level and I don't want them to just look like it's all like one moving part. So I'm going to play around with the speed here. I could actually do this in runtime, so I can kind of see how fast I want these blocks to be moving. And my goal is when the player gets over here, I want them to, like, if they time the jump and they don't make it, I want them to get smashed before they get to have time to come down. So if I jumped at like the perfect time, see, the player does get crunched, but I do want it to be faster. So let me bump up the speed. Let's try 6. Oh, that's kind of fast, but let's see if I can make it. Okay, so the player will definitely get crunched. Okay, that might even be a little bit too fast. Let's try 5. Let me see. Now what I'm looking for right now is I want the player to be descending, by the time he gets crunched. Because if he's descending, then that means that like they're at the end of their jump. But in reality, if a user does a perfect jump, they're going to be able to get all the way to the top. So let's see. That might be still a little bit too fast. Let's try 4.5. Okay, that might be it. Let's see if we can get all the way to the top by trying to do a perfect jump now. Oh, I missed that. Oh, see, works. And then the user can like float on top of these platforms like intended. So I think I'm gonna leave this at 4.5. And I am going to, let's see, continue my level so that I have to make this gap right here that the player is about to jump. Let me see. If I get on this platform, I need to see how far the player can jump, because that's how I'm going to determine. Oops. This might be too fast still. Because I don't want them to have to hit their head. There we go. I can actually make it all the way over here. So I'm going to make an energy beam like that's pretty much that long. So that's going to be my next step. And I will fast forward once again to work until we get to that point. So now what I've done is I made some adjustments. I made this so that I slowed this down a little bit because it was hard for me to get through for making this, and I'm not trying to just spend so much time trying to master my own game before I finish. So I slowed that down for a little bit. I may tweak this area a little bit so I don't keep hitting my head. So there's that, and I've raised this a little bit because I want there to be a little bit more of a gap right here so the player can jump from this platform to this platform. You may have seen me in the sped up area. I added these two platforms. These are both called collapsing platform. I made these a collapsing platform to be a prefab, which it helps me out a little bit, but I noticed that they keep saying that the prefabs have, like, say if I change right here, it keeps asking me if I want to edit the prefab, like the prefab itself or in the scene, and I keep having to select scene, and it says that they can hurt performance. So I'm not sure what the full consequences of that are, so I try not to do that anymore, but that's what I did to bring these over here. And these collapsing platforms are basically platforms that drop after a second or two of the player standing on it. I created this bouncing energy, so I think you might have seen I've found that the move speed should be at 3, but let me play it again for you. So I basically added the ping pong script that I normally use for these platforms, and I added it to this energy right here too. The only thing that is that there's a bit of a flaw in my script that requires the thing that is moving to be at the origin of the map, which is x0, y0, and then z0, and that's usually okay for the tile maps that I make, but I realize like that doesn't really work with like these little objects. So like a little hack that I use, and I definitely have to improve my script so it can bypass these. I have been doing it in the new scripts that I've written, but in these older scripts, I found that I basically made a hack by making an empty game object, and I zeroed out its transform, and then I basically made the thing that I want to move a child of that. And all I had to do was add a rigid body, just like the platforms that I need. I made a kitematic, interpolate the interpolate setting, and then I basically can add the ping pong platform that I made, the script I mean, to that, and then now it's working as intended. So if we go back to my design, remember I wanted the player to drop down here. This will break, and they have to time it so they can jump over this at the same time, and then they'll be able to jump onto this elevator platform. And then the elevator platform is what I'm going to be making next. But first of all, I'll show you what it looks like so far. So I can jump up here. Oh, I see I missed my jump again. Remember, I hate having to master my own game when I'm playing my own levels. Oh geez, I might have to fast forward through this part so you guys don't see me failing my own game. Okay, so I finally made it. So I'm up here. I want the user to stay on this platform, you know, until they're ready to jump, but they have to jump when it's coming this direction, which should be easy enough. So that when they do that, they'll get the momentum from that platform, and then so they should be sitting here, and they should be able to see down, and they should be able to time when they can drop on here, and then hopefully they can time it where this is at the lowest point, and then they can jump over that onto this platform here. And if they are too late, then they will definitely fall onto this energy thing right here. See? And yes, it is also a hazard to like touch this thing at the top too, so they'll have the controller jumping. So this will definitely be an elevator, but you know, if they're standing right here, if they jump long enough, they can definitely kill themselves. So now I am going to try to make this elevator part that basically goes down to the save point. And so I will speed up the video again to get through all the boring bits. Okay, so now I've made it so that I created a new tile map, just like as I do for like any of my special moving platforms, and I've added this script. Remember, I did the same thing. I added all the same components as I did for these platforms. I added the tile map collider, the 2D rigid body, and the composite collider 2D, and I did the same things. It's kitematic body type. Interpolate setting to interpolate, and I am getting ready to configure the pressure platform. And the way this behaves is that it will activate once a player touches it, and once it touches it, then it's going to basically do the same movement procedure as like maybe this movement was set, you know. But these pressure platforms, I set it to go to its destination vector that I've called it here. And so in this case, we want it to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do we want it to go down 8? I think I'm going to have it go down 8 steps. So if I want it to go down 8 steps, I'm going to put -8 for its destination vector. Move speed set to 1. It's going to move pretty slow, but I think that's what I'm going to want to be. I want it to be pretty slow, right? Because I want these energy things to be going back and forth, and it to be an obstacle for the user. They'll have to, you know, time their jumps. Hopefully that works. But let's see if this pressure script works as intended, because I just realized I don't know if I've set it so that it goes down. But let's find out together. Okay, so it looks like there's definitely something wrong with how I've said it. Yeah. So what it looked like is it kept going down incredibly fast. So let's see what's going on with there. Let's try to open up the script and see what's going on, because I do want this to be a feature of this pressure platform. So let me double click here and open up the script and see what we're going to have to change. If you notice, I'm actually using Visual Studio Code instead of the Visual Studio link up that normally comes as Unity. It's just what I prefer. I've been coding for a while, and this is how I like, to code. So, it's just preference. It's not something everybody has to do. But let me see if I can find out what's maybe going wrong with this script here. Okay, and I kind of see what's going on here. I don't know if everyone will understand what's going on here, but if you see, I put it so that it basically, it'll read to see if it's activated, and once it's activated, which it has because a player has been on it already, then if it is activated, then it's going to start doing this platform movement stuff, and that's where everything went wrong. So in this platform movement function, I set it so that if it's reversed, which it wasn't supposed to be reversed. If it's going downwards, it's going to its destination. That should be in its non-reverse setting. So this is where the problem lies. I'm saying if the position of X or Y in this case is less than the destination vector, I basically just want to take the minimum. And I think in this case, since we're going in the opposite direction that we're going, it's just creating problems. Let's see if I can find a quick fix for this. And I think I do know what I have to do, but let's try it out. So I finally figured it out. I'm going to cut through a lot of it because it took me, probably like 5 to 10 minutes to debug it. But I figured out that if the destination vector of X or Y is negative, we're gonna have to switch up the movement, right? Because I had it so that like basically for each, for every bit of time, you multiply that by the time speed, and then you multiply that by the move speed, and then you add on to its current position. If we're going in a negative direction, we actually want it to be subtracted from the current position. So like the case that we need our new functionality to work is if the destination vector Y attribute is less than 0, which is our case, we wanted to actually do this new line, right? So for its movement speed, we want it to be subtracted from the current position, and since we're subtracting it, we want to make sure that the new Y, we want it to stop at the destination vector. And so if, like say, we want to go to 3, it starts at 0, and then we go to 1, right? Or negative 1. Negative 1 is still technically bigger than the destination of negative 3, so we want that one. We want the max of that. And then basically the logic that I have is that when we get to like the destination vector itself, then that's when we reverse. The problem is we actually need to do that same logic to the is reverse part too. So we'll say, actually I'll just copy all this and I'll just replace the parts that need to be changed. So if the destination vector of X is greater than 0 or equal to, but I think I put a check in above. No, I didn't. I need to check to make sure that it's not empty. But anyways, if it's 0 or above, do the normal thing that we wanted it to do. And then if it's negative, we want it to do basically the opposite. So min, and then plus the speed. And then same for Y. We want the Y, this was the area where that the normal behavior would happen. And then for the reversed behavior, we need to add it on now, and then it should be min in this case. And then we'll get rid of our old logic because we replaced it, and I think this should work now. So let me fast forward to let the script load, and then get to the point where we need the elevator to be going down. Now let's see if it works now. Okay, so it's going down as intended. Remember, I want to be like, jumping over these lasers as I come down here. When we get to the bottom, now it's slowly coming back up. And I think that's how we want it to behave. Yes, this is the elevator that I want. And then when I get down here, remember, according to our design, we want something over here to be able to shoot. And I think that's, maybe I'll make it a little bit higher, because when it gets to the bottom, remember we wanted those like some of these energy fields to be blocking the way. Maybe right here. Yeah, okay. And so I'll fast forward. And you guys got to kind of see me run into a problem and try to fix the script, when I actually didn't intend to make that fix. But yeah, let's continue to the save point here. And let's see what we have next is we want this like energy wall on the bottom, and also these, but I can make these after because these might be a little more tricky with the timing. But let's make this part right here first. Okay, now you've just seen me drag in one of my energy switch prefabs, and then so this prefab is kind of made up of two different components. This is kind of like a switch. You might have seen me accidentally shoot green balls with my character, and then that's how you kind of trigger things like this. This switch is something that I've created so that you can like toggle things off that need to be turned off. And in this case, this blue energy security beam kind of works the same way as these red ones do, except this one lets the player know that you can disable this one and that there's a switch nearby. And so this one I'm going to hide under here, and let's do these placements here. So for me, I made it so that to configure these ones, I want to basically turn it, like put it in some way that it could only be shot at after the player gets to like a certain point, and have to rotate it. I think I have to rotate it 90 degrees somewhere. Yeah, that's the direction. So I rotated it 90 degrees on a z-axis. I'm gonna put it right. Let me put it right here. So the user should. I want the user to have like more a chance to shoot at it. So like I want to give them more time if I need them to. And then this energy one, I'm also going to rotate it 90 degrees, and then I'm gonna place this right here. Let me make it smaller though, so the user can kind of see the whole thing when they're looking at it. I think that's good enough. And let me shrink the collider, and that should work, I believe. Yeah, so let me try to get to this area again to see if it's working as I intended it to. And you're kind of seeing me get better at my own game too. So I made it on my first try that time. Okay, they're on the elevator, jumpy. I might get down here, and then they should be able to fall off. Yeah, onto a platform down here. I might even make this go even lower though. So yeah, I'm gonna make that go lower. Let's try that. and then I'm gonna create the bottom platform now, and then I'll get into start making these these security beams that are going back and forth. Let's try that. So you might have seen me I kind of scrapped the idea of having these two horizontal moving energy beams because I actually think it might be kind of difficult for the user to be kind of jumping up and down like that. Also probably difficult for me to figure out the timing on that. So I thought it could be just as difficult if I added one of these balls and I had to do like a squaring maneuver that I actually have a script for already. So I kind of did the same thing that I did with this bouncing energy part over here, where I kind of like created a parent object that had the transform of 0, and I added a script to it that I created, and I actually called it the squaring platform script. And the way this works is like you kind of set it in like a destination, and then going up to the right you find like a destination vector or coordinate that you're looking for. In this case I made it 2 to the right and then 6 up, which is like about right here, and I gave it a speed of 3, and I'm hoping that that can make it so like the user, when they jump on the platform, they have to try to dodge by either going left or right, or this can make it so that they can actually jump over it too, which kind of has like the same player interaction that I was kind of going for. So I was hoping that this would work too. So I'm going to test that out now for the first time and see if that works out. Okay, I'm falling. Oh, and see, I guess in that case, I think this could work. So I'm trying again. I tried it twice already, and I definitely died to this little orb that's moving around. And it seems pretty difficult right now, I'm not gonna lie, but this is, like I said, towards the end of the game, and I do want these levels to be like kind of more challenging for the user. Okay, so I'm going down. Let me see if I can dodge this thing. Oh, let's see, and it works, and I'm able to just drop down on here. So that was pretty difficult, and I think, you know, for this tutorial or this demo that I'm doing right now, I think that kind of works. It might be too much based on luck right now, but for what it is right now, I was actually kind of satisfied with that interaction. So the last thing I need to do is I just need to add like this save block right here. If we go back to my designs, I added like a little save destination right here. So that's actually easy. That's probably going to be one of the easiest things that I've done in this whole video. I have a prefab, and I call it my mural. I'm just going to set it right here. I am going to set it away from like the fall point. This is kind of like a little painting. If you kind of follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I think I briefly explained like what these little things are, but these are like little save destinations. So if you walk by it, your progress in this level will be saved. And so if you've been noticing too, I haven't been kind of putting like a lot of the detail in this level. I've been kind of just doing like kind of blocks that have like no end. But that was just kind of like, that was because I didn't know where I was going at first. I had my design, but as you can see, I could kind of change everything around. like even right now, I'm thinking about making the floor a little bit lower here so you can jump properly onto the spring without hitting your head on this. And I think that might be a good, a better player experience. I'm going to end my video soon. This is probably going to be a two-parter before I finish the level. But I'm going to clean up, a little bit so you can kind of see where I'm going a little bit better. So I'm going to fast forward once again, and I am going to try to make this just look nicer, at least for the first half of the level. Okay, so now I'm zoomed out, and you can kind of see like what the level looks like, a little bit more cleaned up now. I'm definitely not finished putting a lot of the decorations in. Actually, let me move this right here. That looks a little bit better that way. Yeah, and then I still had to make a pass through doing like decorations and like little quirks of the level, but if kind of ignore this area over here. But this is definitely the first half of the level, and I'll just play through it once if I can make it through. Hopefully I do it without dying too many times. If I do, then it's probably going to turn into like a fast forward of the level, but I think it's working out so far. I've played it a few times now, and I'm kind of getting the feel for the timing. See, and then I can just fall here. And then perfect. And then if I fall here, I'll wait for this to go back up. I might have to change that part a little bit. And then if I go over here, now the level would be saved. And when I die, I would come back to the same spot again. And I think that's where I'm going to end this video. There will definitely be a part 2 of this video since I didn't get to finish. But I would like to say it would help me out a ton if you can go to my Steam page. I'll add the description, the links in the description. It would help me out a ton if you would wishlist my game. There's actually a free demo to probably like the first half of this game. All you'd have to do is go back to links in the description, and follow those, and you'll find a way to get the free demo. It's basically at my website at dogmagames.com. Please comment below and let me know what you thought of the video, and would you like to see more of these? There will be a part 2, remember, so keep an eye out for that. Anyways, have a good day, everyone. I look forward to creating more content, and thank you for watching.